Well, what's up, EKN Nation? Rob Howden here alongside Mr. David Cole for another edition of Face2Face. Our second one this week, David. We had things kind of lined up and planned. We knew that the Texas Sprint Racing Series was coming up, so we wanted to jump into that with Brittany Lobaugh. We had a chance to talk to her earlier this week. But you were down at the USPKS opener, a record-setting weekend, amazing numbers, perfect weather. And we've got a bunch of the key people from that event here joining us today. Of course, Mark Coates and Tim Koyen from the series itself, and a couple of the KA100 winners, Brandon Lemke and Alex Stanfield joining us as well. You were down there. We did the full debrief podcast, but this is really kind of an opportunity for us to get another face-to-face in here and talk to the people that were really front and center. That was really probably the biggest race of the year so far, right?
Yeah, the biggest race of the year. Get a little more in depth into some of the topics, especially talking with Mark and Tim about things that are going on with the series for this year, and things surrounding that event, and then for the upcoming year as well. And then kind of get into the KA100 Senior category. That was obviously the hot topic from the weekend, and just kind of talk to the two different winners and kind of get their viewpoints on that. And just to kind of the elbows up, exactly. So just to kind of get a little more insight into that and see now that kind of things have kind of calmed down. I know Brandon, we talked to him before show, he's calmed down a lot more since the scale line on Sunday. So it'll be good to kind of get their insight. Alex Stanfield picking up his first win in that category. Yep. So that's a really cool story to kind of discuss with him. He was kind of there all weekend long, and then boom, the parting seas allowed him to get through and pick up that victory on Sunday. So it'll be good to kind of get a little more in depth with that event.
As always with our face-to-face, these live shows that are either on YouTube or on our Facebook page, it's interactive. You see the comments there. The comments pop up in front of us here in the studio. So feel free if you have any questions for either of the two runs of guests, whether it's Mark or Tim or whether it's Alex or Brandon, feel free to pop those up and we'll have a look at them. If we want to bring them in the show, we will. So very interactive. David, do you want to get things underway? You're doing some writing.
Let's go. Let's ready to
bring,
go.
in Mark Coates and Tim Koyen, guys. Yes, Tim's got the up.
He's ready to go.
You win a KA100 race. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
It's good to be here, guys.
So David, what do you want to start with? Do we just want to blow some smoke up their asses first and say, wow, congratulations, lots of numbers? Because this is what I say about the first event being so big. It's not what you did this weekend. It's what you guys have done all through 21 to, in 20. Everything you did in the past is what made things happen. New teams coming in, people coming in. Mark, let's talk a little bit about those record numbers. As they started coming in, you guys obviously doing a little different registration that I think fueled people up, lit a fire under some people. But all in all, congratulations on massive numbers, record numbers for the USPKS.
The first, I think we had 100 entries the first 24 hours, wasn't it, Tim? And it just kept going from there. And, what people got to remember is 7 classes.
Yep.
That's what they got to remember. 7 classes, 3 of them were capped. So we're really proud of it. Andre worked fantastic with us down there. Things were a little tight, but you know what? It went off well.
Well, I'll let David come in on this, but there were lots of naysayers, weren't there? USPKS can't go there. It's going to be too big. There's not going to be any room. David tells me you guys are parking it.
David. I was one of them. I will be honest. I didn't know how it was. I'm a math guy. I look at the maps and I was like, how is this going to fit? How, I'm thinking Newcastle and how massive that paddock is. And the GoPro was just a struggle at the end of last year. And you guys can kind of talk to that, but going from GoPro to Orlando, I'm like, that's even smaller. How are we going to do this? And Andre and you guys pulled it off.
I'm sure, Tim, we were all really wondering if it was going to happen.
I appreciate the honesty.
We laid asphalt down the Thursday before we showed up, making things better in the pit area, and he's going to redo the whole pit. So it was tight, but you know what? The track race is great. They were great hosts, and like I say, it all come together.
I think one big thing is that everybody knew it was going to be tight before we got there. So even the teams, they were like, yeah, we know it's going to be crowded. We know what to expect. And so they were more flexible, easier to work with. They understood that it wasn't going to be a roll your 53-foot semi in on Wednesday afternoon and just pop up a tent. there was going to be a little bit more effort to get that done. But honestly, Andre really was the star of the whole parking thing. Spent a lot of time getting that all done right, and it went well. It went well as could be expected for what we had there as far as the parking goes, and the racing was phenomenal for sure.
Yeah, listen, you know what? That's the kind of thing you want to hear, right? Because there are as we've talked about so many times, only a certain specified amount of racetracks in this country that can actually hold an event like the USPKS or like a SuperKarts USA Pro Tour race, because at 220 plus, and then you guys at 300 plus. Again, there's only so much room, and to be able to hear that the promoter and the track owner, Andre's of course been around the sport for 25 plus years. I love to hear the communication and the cooperation, because I think to be able to have a track like that races so well in Florida, where you can go in the winter, I think that's key for our sport. He's a very rental and owner operated kart kind of place, but to be able to bring some big races into that facility is huge for us.
Well, I think another key point too, that there was a lot of scuttle about that track and the barrier system they had. We haven't talked about that too much on air with anybody, but they have a CIK homologated barrier system that he put in. He spent $500,000 to bring some of this stuff in, and it accommodates rental carts and racing carts. But some of the events that were there before us, concerns were raised about the stiffness, the pushback on the track. And we said to Andre, hey, we're concerned about this. What do you think about it? And he said, absolutely. If you want it out, we'll take it out. Just say so. It's not a problem. I've got all the old barriers. We'll put them in. And ultimately, it was myself, Mike Speed, Mike Rollison, and Andre walked the track on Wednesday and Thursday. And we said, hey, this is what we feel like needs to be different in order to make us more comfortable with it. And he said, no problem. We'll have it done in the morning. And he did it. And it raced great. There was no issues at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Very accommodating.
Never moved.
Yeah, the ambulance never moved.
Never moved.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, thankfully we didn't have to test them in real simulation, so that was really good. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about the facility. I was thinking about moving on to the series itself and some of the staff members. I noticed there was a number of new faces wearing the USPKS shirts on the weekend.
We're handing them out to anybody now.
Yeah. I got the email, by the way, Tim.
Except
thank you,
David. Except you.
Oh, damn it. Well, let's first say a goodbye, an official goodbye to Jason Ludwig, because he's been a core principal with the series since the beginning. He did have some time away from the program and then came back and has been a really instrumental person in making sure the on-track stuff and the off-track stuff are working together well.
No, Jason's a good friend of mine. He's going to take some time off, and who knows, he might be back. We're going to do more of a group deal now instead of one person. We're going to have a couple people do the job and take some stress off some of the staff, because, as you know, when you got 300 people screaming at you, it's not the most glorifying job.
Yeah,
and a lot.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Sorry, Dave. I was just going to say that, you guys have seen the growth and where it's come from and where it is now. And it's just no longer something that one person really can handle. It needs to be more of a committee situation. And as we look towards the future growth of the series, we have to consider the fact that, your staff, it needs to be able to flex as well. And those of us who have been involved in it for a long time, we schedule our lives around the events. And not everybody can do that. And so we need to be able to accommodate it when somebody needs a weekend off because their, daughter gets married or whatever the case is. And so having a more flexible staff with more people who are qualified to handle the different roles will help us be more consistent in our officiating in the future and, and doing everything we do.
That's a question I had. I got a question,
quick
question, Dave. I can bring it in. Speaking of staffing, obviously a big jump for you guys. Not like just 10 more people coming to this event. Is number one, are you expecting to get the same amount of drivers or a similar amount for the next race at GoPro? You're going to have the GoPro bump as well, just for the guys that actually race at GoPro. Do you feel good with the staffing you have? Do you need to bring a couple more guys in? There's always a ratio of staff per entry kind of a thing. Is there any areas that you guys have looked at and said, hey, we may need some more people, or you're pretty happy with the where you have the staff right now?
Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you wanted to put your opinion in. No, honestly, I think where we want to address, first of all, our race directing by committee, I think, is off to a good start with Justin
Absolutely.
and with Alec Coates and those guys. And we're continuing to look at people to bring in as well as they become available, as we think they have to fit in with our team, though, as well. It needs to be a good gel and share the same principles that Mark has, how races should be run. But in addition to that, we want to have a full-time official to handle protests and reviews off track. And that would be a race director who would basically, all they would do is handle video review and protests. And I did the bumper penalty reviews, which were kind of separating that a little bit from the driving penalties and that kind of stuff. And that was an interesting experience for sure. And I assume that's probably going to continue on for a while. But, but beyond that, having somebody who you can bring a video to, and you don't have to pull somebody off the track to look at it and just give you an answer, right now, instead of at the end of the day where it may be too late to really affect your outcome.
Tim, how are you after taking a beating all weekend long with looking at all the video reviews? Were people pretty respectful for you or what?
Absolutely. I don't think any of us really knew what to expect. I don't think the racers knew, and I didn't know. And I, of course, assumed the worst and probably got the best. I looked at about 40 videos, about 20 each day on actually, I think I did my first one after happy hour on Friday or something like that. And how do you get a bumper penalty in happy hour? You kind of wonder sometimes, but honestly, every single one of them that came to me was legit. I mean, it was like, it wasn't their fault, really, is what it boiled down to. And those were the people we wanted to fix. Those are the people, if it's questionable and you deserved it, or you may have deserved it, it's not going to get reversed. It's kind of like football. It needs to be clear. And everybody that came up was clear. Now that the precedent has been set, do I think that's going to get pushed maybe at the next event? Possibly. But we'll just have to address it as it comes, What
do you got next, Dave?
Yeah, it's no different than like, say, tech, some things, kind of are pushed to the edge. And now people are going to see, okay, with the bumper a little bit. And that'll be something that obviously will continue on. And, so that was going to be my next question, the video review. We heard a lot of positive feedback. Obviously, you felt it went over very well. Is that going to be your role post, during the race weekend? Is it still going to be you, or are you guys looking to add somebody else to kind of manage that?
As far as the bumpers go, I haven't been told that I've been relieved from it yet, so I'm assuming that it's going to continue to be part of my deal. We'll see. It kind of depends. I mean, this is a new role for me this year, not being in the announcing booth. It's a little bit different, and I'm just trying to help Mark make sure that everything goes together right and that we have people where we need them and all that kind of stuff. And, fill up the coolers when the ice runs out, that kind of stuff. So
Mark wasn't saying anything about your job when you asked right there either. So
he didn't offer up any changes. So
he didn't offer up any changes.
Dave,
something
when you're talking about penalties, wasn't it over 500, Tim?
Yeah, we wrote over 500 penalties on that weekend, and that includes the bumpers. And we had 40 of them come for review. So some of them clearly were legitimate penalties, or they didn't feel like it was worth it,
Yeah,
but
solid.
But that 500 includes also the on-track penalties, and there were a lot of them.
Okay,
right.
Dave, do you want to bring up KA100? Or what do you got on your list there?
No, I wasn't going to talk on-track stuff with them really so much.
Right.
I mean, we can kind of get kind of their feedback, but I think it kind of falls in line with us. Is there just needs to be a little bit more respect out there. I think Mark and Tim would kind of agree on that, and I really think that was the only category that we saw that over-aggressive type of racing. I think all the rest of the categories had some great racing, side-by-side stuff and good passing, good racing all across all 2 days. And so, yeah, I guess what's kind of your feedback on that, Tim and Mark?
Well, I think there was great racing throughout the whole weekend. Honestly, I do agree that there is a general lack of respect amongst the drivers. in a lot of areas, and KA Senior is kind of like been the melting pot for that situation, or at least the festering of it. But I can't fix that. The drivers need to fix that. The coaches need to fix that. The parents for the kids need to, I had parents come up and say, I literally had a guy say, what am I supposed to tell my kid when this guy, that's racing him is not racing him clean? And I said, tell him he's doing a great job. And sometimes you do a great job and still don't win the race. So it's kind of where it's at.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Mark, any thoughts from your side on it?
You can't fix the drivers. They got to fix it themselves. All we can do is issue penalties until they respect each other. It's going to continue.
Yeah, and I think David brought it up, and so did Tim. It comes from the tent. It comes from each tent. You got to bring the team owners in too, because if you send the star home, he's done for the championship. You send him home for a weekend. Yeah, and I've literally heard. We've been there. We've heard coaches and mechanics tell their drivers, when you see a yellow, speed up, because that's a chance to catch up. Get out there and hit that guy. We've heard it. You hear
out
it.
Of your way. Yep.
It's just you're ruining the sport. Again, it's not, especially for the younger kids, but it comes from the coaches, it comes from the mentors, it comes from the people who drivers look up to. If a driver who's is well known in the sport does it, young kids think it's the way to go. So it's like you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you got, Dave?
I would say let's go into my next point is the next event, GoPro Motorplex, end of April, beginning of May. The announcement is that we're going to run a new track design. So let's start there. When are we going to hear what track layout? When is it coming? Is it right now? Do you want to tell us all right now?
No.
Yes.
Not at all. Haven't even discussed it. We got another race coming up.
We haven't even discussed it.
Well, it's yes.
Well,
you do have
be honest. The honest truth is, Mark and I discussed it about 2 hours ago for the first time.
There you go.
Well,
and we said, what are we going to say when they ask us this? And he said, I don't know. What do you think we should say? And I said, I think we should say, we don't know, because we don't know what it is. We know it's not going to be the old track that we've run over and over. It won't be that. It'll be either one of the new configurations or a variation of, what we've done before. But it honestly probably won't know for a couple of weeks yet. Like Mark said, we have the Route 66 race coming up before that. And so, we'll be working behind the scenes on that next event. We won't, make any hard decisions until we get closer to it.
What I like, number one, is I'm assuming I'm correct here. You press the reset button. Let's see what kind of mad rush we get to get to the 40 on the pre-entry for the different categories. Because there was a bunch of guys that were on the outside looking in who didn't get entered fast enough. Their class got capped and they weren't able to run. I'd be interested to see if one of the three classes that did get opened up isn't the first to 40 this time.
Well, we have talked that maybe we should consider announcing which classes are going to be the expanded ones ahead of time. So when we open registration, say these are the 4 that are going to go or not. And the logical reason is that if you're somebody who's running for the championship, we don't want you to get in the first event and not get in the second, or that kind of a situation. So to try to make it slightly more predictable. The flip side to that is if they know that it's going to be open, they're going to be delayed and get entering potentially. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal if they wait. It's just, I think the more people that enter early, entries breeds entries is the way I look at it.
I know.
Absolutely.
Well, my kind of call on it is that, that's the scourge of our industry. And for you guys as promoters is having guys that dick around and they don't enter. You got to fly tires in it. You don't have, it makes it so tough when you guys don't know how many guys are going to be there. Easy fix would be if you're the top 5 in the standings, we'll add you from 40 to 45, right? You're going to get in for sure if you're in the championship. Otherwise you got to enter. Cause I love the fact that it puts the pressure on the teams and the drivers to stop being idiots and get entered. So you guys know they're coming. I think it's a great idea. It's one of the best ideas I've heard in 10 years. It's perfect.
Well, I'm glad it was my idea.
Good job,
stick with it. I don't know.
No, I think it's a great idea. I love putting the onus on the drivers, the families, the teams to get their entries in. I think it's perfect.
If you know you're going to go somewhere, how can you forget to enter?
Yeah.
Well, that happened.
People
That's true.
calls it, we forgot to enter.
Yeah.
It's like if you made, your transportation, you're on a team, something's not right with that story.
That's it. They're waiting.
Exactly.
They're just waiting for the credit card. What else you got,
Yeah,
Dave?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my last part about GoPro, have you guys looked into the logistics of everything regarding obviously the paddock area? And I know everything seemed to work out pretty well last year. But if numbers creep up to where we were in Orlando, it might be capacity. Are you guys kind of looking at that already? Or is that something that, again, you're going to look at after you get done with the route race?
99% chance there will be no motorhome parking inside the track area. You got to let the pits get filled first. The people in their motorhomes can pit outside because they need to be in there.
That makes total sense. You got to do it, right?
Yep. You have to do it.
Another option
ahead of time, that is big.
Another option that we've discussed at length is capping the amount of space you can have based on the number of entries in your camp, tent, program, whatever it is. Because there are some instances where you have a 40-foot toter home and 2 drivers, and they take up 1,000 square feet, and it's not a lot of it. The big teams, they're very compact. They got 20 or 30 go-karts in a big space, but it's dense.
Yeah.
And people complain about how much room they take, but the reality is they're the best customers because they're the densest when it comes to real estate and that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think the entries will be a little bit lower because we had the rock bump. The rock was right after us, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But you did lose some entries to the Charlotte race. More than you realize when I started looking at the list. So you put that there.
I like it.
GoPro locals on there.
Mark and I have a competition on who can be closest on the guessing of the entry.
Over under.
And I got to say that I think Mark won this last one. I was a little bit more pessimistic than I'm the realist. He's the salesman. That's how it works.
I'm the guy that hates to turn down the money.
He's the salesman, and I'm the one that's supposed to make it work. I guess
there
that's
you
probably
go.
the way you put it.
I know how that works, Tim.
We got it, guys. We got a comment on the track layout I want to bring in. What are your thoughts on this from Paul Montopoli? Don't run a new layout. F1 does not run a new layout when it goes to Spa. GoPro is a classic track. The alternatives are Mickey Mouse.
It's a track that has been run. I will say that.
Yeah. I haven't seen the Mickey Mouse layout yet, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
we don't know what that is. I mean, I've
heard that it races
well. I've heard that it races well in the other configurations, so I don't know.
All right. Well, that's Paul's opinion. Maybe he's full of it. I don't know.
Those Masters guys, they are full of it, aren't they?
Paul's been around a long time. There's no doubt. Well, that's good. We look forward to obviously seeing what we get for the track layout. Again, I just think what you guys did with the entries, having people get in there, 3 classes but open up. I think it's absolute genius to put the pressure on people to get in so they don't miss. I think it's great. Good call. Anything else on your list, Dave?
All set.
Let's let these guys go have their pee break, and we'll bring.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mark.
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so there we go there.
Mark Coates, Tim Koyen, of course, the powers that be at the USPKS, a program that has continued to grow. For those of you who may have watched it on Kart Chaser or followed, of course, on EKN Radio Network, 2 drivers that stepped up and were able to get to the top of the podium in KA100 Senior joining us right now here as well. Brandon Lemke and Alex Stanfield. Let's bring them here on to Face2Face. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, for some reason,
right.
Brandon, there we go.
Right.
There you go.
Now we're good.
I was going to say, I didn't mute him.
Nope, that was me. Sorry.
All good.
Guys, great to have you with us. David, how do you want to start this off? Just want to talk about the racing a little bit before we get into anything deeper?
Yeah, let's just get into we'll start Saturday. We'll kind of go over that. Brandon, you were pretty much had a battle up front. It was you, Nick Terlecki, and Jeremy Fletcher. So it was kind of a trio battle all final long. It seemed like you didn't really want to work with Terlecki. It seems like you guys could have pushed away and got away from Fletcher, but it seems like both of you wanted to lead at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where he comes from sometimes. Like, obviously he's fast, but it's like all of a sudden, like, he'll qualify, like he's 4 rows behind me, and the next thing I know, I look back and I see a green cart. I'm like, it's either Josh or Nick, and neither of them were close to me at the start, and then they're right on me. And then I feel I'm getting slammed into the back in every single corner. I'm like, oh, it's Nick. So, but no, I mean, it's all love with him. He's great. He's clean-ish to me. So, I mean, he helped me out in the final on Saturday. So it wasn't intentional. Like, we don't talk it over. Like, hey, you're gonna take this guy out, whatever. But no, I mean, I didn't want to work with him because I felt like that track isn't like Newcastle where you can push away, something like that. I feel like you just got to have a good setup on the kart. You got to have a strong focus, like hit your marks everywhere, especially in the chicane in the middle of the track, the last coming to the start finish line. You hit that corner right, and that's you'll be good for the rest of the lap. I mean, that's a really good setup. So I felt like I just needed to wait for the kart to come in. The kart came in on Saturday when he passed me, and then he kind of gapped me a little bit. Then I felt the tires come in a little better. I felt more grip. I was like, okay, once I get up to him again, I'm just gonna pass him. And then I watched the kart chasers video, the final, and I opened up a gap. I didn't realize I did, but I was like, oh, okay. I guess it was the right move. And then Jeremy caught him, and then they had that battle, and I was just able to walk to the win. But I mean, it kind of came in late, and we were kind of scared it wasn't gonna come in, or it was gonna come in too soon. But it ended up working out really well.
Hey, Brandon, it's such an over under track, right? There's obviously the long straightaway you can make the move to the inside, but a lot of it's over under. In a race that's as long as the main events are, how much patience did you have? Was it a case of just trying to break away with 4 or 5 guys and then go to work, trying to be where you wanted to be? Do you have to have patience for the first 3 quarters of the race, or was it always trying to get to the front?
Absolutely. I mean, I race. I know everybody's different. I try to race it more than halfway. I try to go like the last 5 laps, and that's when I really want to start kind of preparing myself, putting myself where I want to be. But like everything up until that point is kind of just logging laps. Like try to save your tires a little bit, save your stuff, wait for the right time for everything to come in, and then really pounce the last few laps. Like, I mean, Super Nats is kind of like that. I mean, it was pretty. I know it's Super Nats. They're always, battling, but I was getting past. I got past a couple of times, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll chill here. And then it was just something clicked. I kept getting past. I'm like, nope, I want to stay here. If I go too far back, I'm screwed. And it ended up working out. But that's kind of how I look at every race. Like, okay, you can pass me. Where am I? 5th? All right, I'm fine. One more spot though. Pushing it. If I get past one more time, I gotta go. But I try to be more aggressive last 5 laps. Everything else is just, maybe push somebody. Don't try to make a move right away. If I get past, don't pass the very next corner, sort of thing. So it's like, I just try to take it calm and then really work on it the last few laps.
Hey, junior drivers, rewind that. Listen to it again. Rewind it. Listen to it again. Hopefully we'll see some better racing.
I find it odd that you say that you could get away, because you think 100cc racing back to the Yamaha days where if you could stay in the guy's draft, you were solid. How is Yamaha different from the KA stuff that we're racing now, or VLR even?
Good question.
Honestly, I don't know if this is with anybody else. I don't know if it's with Alex as well, but I'm still trying to figure out how the draft works on these things. I don't get it. It's
Alex is nodding his head. Yeah.
It's like you'll close up and you'll gain like 2-3 tenths at certain tracks, but then you don't feel like you're catching them a lot. Like at Newcastle and Yamaha or Comet or HPV, whatever. Like you felt the drafts, and this stuff you don't really feel it. It almost feels like X30, but the guy in head will still, like, you barely catch him. But the weird thing is, though, if you get a good enough run and you have a longer straightaway like NOLA or Newcastle, you pull out and you don't really slow down. It just keeps going. Like, you just drive right by him. So
really?
It's funky. That's what I've noticed, at least.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter the gear. Like, you can scream them like 17.5, whatever. They keep going. So I don't know. You'd think you'd be able to get away, and it's definitely faster in a draft, but it's not like super noticeable.
Alex, you feel pretty much the same way about it?
Yeah, I mean, especially NOLA, the back straightaway is so long, you just keep going. But then other tracks like Orlando, or just even some tracks like in Texas, like speed sports, the draft isn't as much, for sure.
Interesting.
Alex, you were kind of
David.
in the mix there Saturday. You had, I think, a third in the pre-final, but then you got shuffled back at the start. Kind of tell us how your race went on Saturday.
Yeah, so in the final, I started sixth, and then I just didn't get a good start at all. Got caught on the outside, and then I had some contact with another cart, got sit in the air, went through the grass. I fell back to like, I think 20th at the start, like out of turn 3, and then just had to work my way up and just kept passing like every lap and never fell back from there.
What did you have a favorite spot? I know a lot of guys were trying to do it after the S's, making those jumps there. Was that the optimal passing spot, or did you have another spot on the track that you liked to make a maneuver at?
I liked the S's for sure, but I also liked the hairpin in turn 4 because you just had to go straight past the guy if they didn't defend, and it was just an easy passing point.
Yeah, sure. I noticed on a lot of onboards, if you left the door wide open, it was a lot easy to pass there. Then you just had to try and set up for the left-hander coming back.
For sure.
So making that move up the field, and you got all the way up to 5th. Did you feel going into Sunday that you had the opportunity to be right there again?
Yeah, I feel like I had a really strong cart from the whole weekend from Friday. We had everything tuned right with Gary Willis and Allison Racing Engines, and it just felt we had a rocket pretty much on board. We just had to get through the starts cleanly, and then we could be in the fight for sure.
The last lap was obviously pretty wild, Alex. You guys are all positioning yourself, and guys making contact, and guys making contact up into turn number 1 as well. Where you were before that kind of chaos started, did you feel you were in a good spot there? Did you feel like you could maybe have attacked forward, or did you find yourself kind of landlocked a little bit with carts all around you?
Yeah, so when I was behind Race, it was really hard to get around him because he kept signaling he was going to go by Jeremy, and then he went in the hairpin, overshot it, and then I got by him, and then I was like, okay, I just got to work with Jeremy and just get away a little bit more, and then Race had some contact with us, and then I just fell back a little bit to 3rd, and then on the final lap, Bailiff had some contact with Hand, and I was able to get past Hand and then work my way past Bailiff, so.
At that point, were you waiting for the next something to drop because it seems like it kept happening? Were you kind of bracing yourself for the next guy to make contact?
Yeah. I mean, it felt like almost like a demolition derby out there. It was pretty insane.
Tell me about it.
I felt like I was getting hit on every side of my go-kart. Like someone was either on top of me or on my side pod or something that whole race.
And it wasn't just the main event. I mean, it started with the first pre-final on Saturday.
It started in happy hour for me. I mean,
there you go.
People were ramming me like crazy. So,
are you guys having conversations in the scale line? And I know it's hard to do it there because everybody's heated up, right? If you come at somebody because they hit you, they're all in defense mode. When you're kind of chilling out afterwards, was there any conversation between some of the drivers? I know I try to do that when it gets a little hectic out there, or was everybody kind of all for themselves at that point?
For me, I mean, I would try talking to some of the guys. Like I talked to Chase, I think before one of the races, or it was the pre-final or the heat on Saturday. I introduced myself because I never talked to him before. I introduced myself to him like, hey, I'm really looking forward to racing against you. You're awesome in juniors, blah 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 blah. I try to talk to some of the new guys or newer guys, rookies to the senior class, and try to be friendly. And I didn't have an issue with I talked to Alex after some of the races too, like in the scale line.
Mm-hmm.
Like Alex and I were cool, Jeremy and I were cool. Like everybody was cool. I was cool with everybody else. So like I didn't have contact except for one person. I didn't have contact with anybody that whole weekend. But it was just the one incident, and that it just blew up. It's like, so I totally see the lack of respect, but it's like, in my eyes, there wasn't a mark on my cart. Like everybody drove me pretty good. I felt like I drove everybody except for one thing. Like everything was fine up until that one point. Like Alex and I were cool, but we raced hard. I mean, he was aggressive, I was aggressive. I felt like, but we gave each other plenty of room. And then we talked after the scale line, and everything was good. It was like, yeah, good race, good job. We'll get you the next time, whatever. So it was good.
You feel that way, Alex, or do you want to throw Lemke under the bus here?
No, I mean, I felt the same way. I mean, we were all pretty cool in the scales. I know most of the drivers, on a personal level too. Like I'm all friends with most of them, and just a few of them I'm not, and maybe that's why. Maybe we had a bit of, I guess, beef on the track, and I'm always friends with like Hand and Bailiff, and I'm teammates with Fletcher, so we all work well together on the track.
Okay.
So I mean, if we're more friendly with each other, maybe the aggression will be maybe less, I guess. But yeah, that's how I see it.
So what's different? You guys both have raced X30. I know, Alex, this is only your second year in the senior ranks, but you raced X30 most of all last year. What's the difference between X30 and KA? Is it just the fact that the X30 guys are more respectful, or is it the speed differential is so narrow in the KA that everybody's trying to make every single pass whenever they can?
I mean, I think it's a combination of both. For sure, the speed, because we're all so close. The field is so tight in KA, especially. Like the whole top 20s within 2/10 of each other.
Yeah.
So we're all trying to go for every gap possible, and try to stretch away. And then I think maybe the X30 drivers are more maybe refined, like on the front guys, maybe because, I mean, I feel like the X30, they're more bunched out too, because you have Norberg has 2/10 on the field, and then you have, a bunch of other guys that have way more gaps on each other. So I think the closeness of the field for sure doesn't help us, I guess, with the aggression. So yeah.
Let's spin away a little bit from discussion on the racecraft, and Alex, let's give you a chance to put you in the spotlight and give you some props. We saw what you were able to do last year as a rookie in the senior category, running top 10, top 5, and really podium finishes. You come into this year here. How do you feel it coming into your sophomore year in the senior category? You get the big win. Is the confidence there? You feeling good?
Yeah, I feel really good. It was good getting that off my back, for sure. The second year, because the first year it didn't really go as planned. Just had a lot of bad luck too throughout the whole year. But to get the win in the second round was pretty good for me.
And a new team too, right? Obviously, Crosslink Competition shutting down this past year. Sean Owens going back to Dallas Karting Complex. So a new team, new people, new culture. That's kind of a big thing for you as well to go in this, a whole new program. Do you feel like you blended in really, really easy?
Yeah, I mean, the first test weekend, I felt back at home already because I was originally with Gary as well.
Yep.
GWR and Team Felon. I was originally with them in junior, and then I went to Crosslink, and now I'm back with them. So it felt like I never really left. So
just a couple of years older and a couple inches taller.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, I just felt like I was back with my old people pretty much, and it was right from the start, just really good.
So where do we see you next, Alex? Are you both going to the SCUSA Pro Tour? I think Brandon, you said you're not doing SCUSA, right?
No, sir.
What about you, Alex? We're going to see you at NOLA?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Double duty or just KA?
Just KA.
Just KA. Right on. David, what else you got?
So I got to ask Brandon. You don't have to get into the whole how the battery came off, but I want to know how you were able to grab it. I got to know. Like, did it just pop off and was dragging, and then you grabbed it, or did it pop off and you grabbed it immediately? Kind of walk us through that.
Well, hold on. But for people that didn't know, don't know about this, David, give us the overview of what the hell happened, because I watched it. I didn't see what happened. You found out and kind of told me later. What happened to Lemke here with this battery deal?
Well, the problem was I didn't see the contact on track. I was doing some filming because the race was boom, 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 back to back to back, back, nonstop. So I was doing my videos at scale line and doing some other things. And then I heard the announcement of, Lemke's hurt. Lemke's hurt. He's driving one-handed. So I didn't even see the contact. So I had to go back and look at some of the video, and it looked like it would have been turn 4, the left-hander. Race Liberante got inside of him. They both exited. Lemke was on the outside, and the two made contact, and essentially race kind of drove over the whole left side of Brandon. And so after I heard that, I started watching, and all I could see was Brandon's arm kind of in his lap and driving with the right hand, and then drove the entire race that way for 22 laps or however long it was.
It was like 16, 17. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, I thought he was hurt. I'm telling the scale guy, Bob, I'm like, Bob, you need to get an EMT over here to make sure they check him out when he comes off the scales, because he's not coming off until the checker flag. And so, yeah, it was a really strange situation. Like, he's passing karts one-handed, making his way into the top 10 on the outside even. It was amazing. But how did the battery actually end up in the lap?
So, yeah, I got ran over. And then it was like the lap later, so the wheel was all bent, so it was kind of like holding it, like all kind of funky at first. I was gonna drive with two hands. My left arm did go numb like right away when he hit me because I was like, okay, like it felt funny, and so but that the feeling came back really quickly. Um, but yeah, the battery came off probably the the same lap, like half a lap later, or the next lap. It was out of the where you jump the curbs. It was out of that corner, last corner. And I looked like I felt something kind of hit the seat, like hit my hip kind of area. I'm like, oh, it's a weight. Like I'm screwed. Like I'm not making weight, whatever. But then I looked down, I saw something dragging, like it was kind of like by the side pie, like in the back, because like the nerf bar kind of caught it. I was like, okay. And I don't remember grabbing it. Like I just, it was kind of just there. I just picked it up. It's like, okay, I just got to hold on to this. So, and then I held on to it for the one lap. I was like, man, my arm's going to be tired. Like this is going to suck. Because I had to do that at NOLA in practice one time because a weight fell off and I was having to hold it. Much longer track, higher speeds. It wasn't as slick at NOLA's and my right arm was just getting tired and I eventually just let go and the battery just went flying or the weight went flying. It's like, oh, whatever. But yeah, I was holding it the whole time, and I eventually tried letting go, like through that kink coming onto the straightaway, the start finish line. I tried letting go, trying to go in two hands, and I felt the battery just kind of almost fly off. I was like, okay, gotta hold it the whole time. So yeah, I was holding it the whole time, and yeah, I mean, the cart felt really good. It was really good. Like we made like 3 changes. It was awesome. It was so good. But no, it wasn't that bad. The hardest part was actually coming to the start finish line, like that long left, like just having to hold it just like this the whole time. But no, I still got like bruises. I don't know if you can see it that good, but like this one here, that's still there. And then I had one on my bicep too, and my wrist is just healing, and my shoulder is still hurting a little bit. But yeah, it was brutal. And my glove is all ripped up. The battery, the clamp, all that stuff fell off. The wiring harness is junk. The steering wheel was junk. The steering shaft was bent. So I mean, it was a good hit. He got me good intentionally.
So what does that say about you being able to drive one-handed for almost the entire race, passing people where some of these guys can't even pass properly with two hands on the wheel?
I don't know. I don't know. That's 13 years of experience. That's all it is. That's that.
I think that's a good answer to that for sure.
I like it.
What you said, the cart felt good, so nothing else was bent other than the wheel and maybe was a steering shaft bent at all? Was there anything in the front end that was bent?
The steering shaft was. And then we took it to Jamie's. I thought for sure the cart would have been bent. I mean, after getting ran over. And then I bounced off the wall too. And luckily, I just I must have hit the wall perfectly. It was like boink, and it just bounced off and right back onto the track. But no, we took it to Jamie's Franklin, and everything was fine. Just the steering shaft and the steering wheel. But I mean, I guess I couldn't really tell a difference anyway, because steering with one hand, I didn't have the right feeling. Braking felt funny. And like all of a sudden, you really get a feel for the track, like where the grip is, because like all of a sudden I turn in and then it just sticks, and it's like I have to counter steer right away. So it was funky, but no, everything was fine. I thought because I have a smaller cart, and that 29 seems to not bend as easily. It's a little bit harder to bend back if it does bend, but it doesn't seem to bend as easy. But it works really well.
So Alex, there's your new training regime. You got to do laps at Speed Sports one-handed.
Yeah.
yeah. Good stuff, Brandon.
That would be interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, see if the right hand's faster than the left. I mean, Brandon, if you had to pick a hand, and I'll ask Alex to you, if you had to pick a hand, would it be the right hand or would it be the left?
Absolutely the right. Yeah, absolutely the right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alex.
Yeah.
Alex,
same.
on board.
Right hand for sure.
Rob, which hand would you pick?
I'd be right hand too, for sure.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I almost think I'd be left, but I guess I'd have to try it. I've never tried it before.
Dude, you can't drive with two hands. What do you worry about one hand?
Okay, yeah, that's true. Let's get it out there. Yeah.
Your chain will fall off whatever hand you're using. Don't worry.
There you go.
Well, guys, listen, we appreciate you coming on here. Congratulations, both of you, getting those victories in the KA100 Senior class. I know we'll see Alex at the SCUSA race, but otherwise, I guess David will see you guys at GoPro in whatever layout they decide they're going to run.
Sweet. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Great to have you, Alex. Brandon, thank you so much. Two very, very talented drivers, and it's different parts of their careers, right, David? We like you said, Lemke's been doing it for 13 years. We watched him come up through the ranks, winning the SuperKarts USA X30 Junior Championship in that great battle with David Malukas, who's now an NTT IndyCar Series driver. They went at it at Newcastle for the championship there. And Stanfield, we've just been watching him kind of come up through, hit the ranks, second year in senior, and really positioning himself as a guy that's going to be able to win races now. He's going to be in the front of the pack all year long, and Alex with a chance to win that championship as well. It'll be a fun season of USPKS competition.
I'm going to have to mark on the calendar a little throwback to that Lemke Malukas finish, because I think that's one of the craziest finishes that probably we've had in karting, aside from maybe the crazy X30 Master finish we had at Supernats just recently, or some of the other finishes we had. I mean, obviously Lemke's been in a couple wild finishes, having the 2019 Supernats as well too. But I think that one with him and Malukas at the Summer Nationals, that was just a wild scenario how it unfolded.
I can tell the story right now if you want me to, briefly.
I mean, I think we'll save it for another time.
All right, we'll save it.
Yeah,
we'll save it. It's a good story. It's a great story.
If you want to tell it, go ahead. It's your...
No, we'll save it. We're good to go. Folks,
I think that's why I'm gonna mark it down. It's gonna be a throwback. We'll get it done.
We need a throwback like I used to be fast. The older I get, the faster I was. Throwback memory show, right? We can do that. Back when you used to be quick in road racing.
I was never quick, so it doesn't matter.
That's true. Folks, thank you so much for joining us this edition of Face to Face. We'll have another one coming up soon. Of course, remember, getting ready to roll into some big races. We are back at it, not this weekend, David. Next weekend following at the Challenge of the Americas, heading out to Sonoma, California. From there, I go straight to New Orleans for the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. Not long after, David will be at GoPro for USPKS. The regular season is underway. I will lose David Cole's attention for the next 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. March Madness is coming.
Just tomorrow. Michigan plays at 12:15.
The entire time March Madness is on, you have a screen in your office and you're watching it half the time.
Well, I have a new screen plus the TV, and I'll have the iPad going, so I'll have all 4 games on at the same time.
Am I wrong that I will not get 100% focus over the next 2 weeks?
No, only from 12:15 to 3 o'clock tomorrow when Michigan plays.
Go Blue!
Yeah, exactly. Go. Yeah. See? Yeah. Hail to the victors.
Anyways, lots of great racing coming. That means Outlap Preview podcast. That means debrief podcasts, our debrief race report podcast, more face-to-face shows. Lots of stuff coming up here on the EKN Radio Network, on the EKN YouTube channel, of course, on Facebook as well. We do want to thank all of our guests today, Tim Koyen and Mark Coates from the United States Pro Kart Series and KA100 winners Alex Stanfield and Brandon Lemke. And a belated happy birthday to Brandon as well, folks. On behalf of myself, Rob Howden, David Cole as well. Bye for now.